The morning air over the Navajo Nation carried the scent of sage and juniper as Sarah Begay stood at the window of her grandmother's hogan, hands resting on her swollen belly. 8 months pregnant, she felt the baby shift inside her, a gentle reminder of the life she was preparing to bring into the world. Outside, the red rock formations of Monument Valley rose like ancient sentries against the brightening sky. Sarah was 28, a teacher at the local elementary school, and this would be her first child. She had always lived between two worlds, the modern life in Flagstaff, where she went to college, and this sacred land where her grandmother, Shirley, had raised her after her parents passed away when she was 7. Shirley emerged from the small kitchen, carrying 2 cups of herbal tea. At 73, she moved with the deliberate grace of someone who knew the land's rhythms as intimately as her own heartbeat. Her silver hair was pulled back in a traditional bun, and her dark eyes held the kind of knowing that came from decades of helping women through the sacred mystery of birth. "You felt the baby move this morning," Shirley said. It wasn't a question. Sarah smiled. "Yes, Shimasani. Strong kicks, like a little warrior." Shirley nodded, settling into her chair. "Your body is preparing, the baby is turning, getting ready. We would have already prepared the birth space, gathered the sacred plants, called the midwife." Sarah sipped her tea, recognizing the blend of chamomile, red raspberry leaf, and traditional herbs Shirley gathered from the desert. "I've been thinking about having the baby here, the traditional way." A small smile touched Shirley's weathered face. "And what does Dr. Martinez say?" "She says I'm healthy. The baby is healthy. She doesn't see why I couldn't have a home birth with a certified midwife." Sarah paused. "But she also said the hospital has excellent facilities if anything goes wrong." "There is always risk," Shirley said steadily. "Our ancestors knew this. They prepared not by fearing what could go wrong, but by honoring what must go right. They understood that birth is not just a medical event, it is a spiritual journey, a crossing over from one world to another." Sarah felt the familiar tension between the practical education she had received and the ancient wisdom she had grown up with. She wanted both, the safety net of modern medicine and the sacred continuity of traditional practices. Her phone buzzed, a text from her husband, Marcus, who was back in Flagstaff finishing his work contract. "How are my 2 favorite people this morning?" Sarah texted back. "Your son is practicing his kickboxing again. We're good." Shirley watched Sarah's face soften. "Marcus is a good man. He respects our ways even though he doesn't always understand them." "He's trying," Sarah said. Marcus was African American from Atlanta, and they had met teaching at the same school in Flagstaff. When Sarah told him about her desire to have the baby on the reservation, he had supported her completely. Shirley moved to a wooden chest in the corner and pulled out a bundle wrapped in faded red cloth. "Come here, child." Sarah walked over as Shirley unwrapped the bundle, revealing dried plant bundles, small leather pouches, a smooth stone with intricate patterns, and pieces of soft, hand-woven cloth. "These were used when your mother was born," Shirley said reverently, "and when I was born. Each generation of women in our family has brought life into this world with these tools, these medicines." Sarah touched one of the cloth pieces, imagining her grandmother's hands creating it decades ago. "Tell me about them, Shimasani." "This is blue cohosh and black cohosh. We use it to prepare the womb to strengthen the contractions when the time comes. Only in small amounts, only when the baby is ready." She moved to another bundle. "Red raspberry leaf. You've been drinking it for months now. It tones the uterus, makes the muscles strong." Shirley held up the smooth stone. "This is a birthing stone. It was placed in your great-great-grandmother's hand during labor. The coolness helps with pain, and the smoothness gives the woman something to focus on." Sarah took the stone, feeling its weight and coolness. She could almost feel the energy of all those women who had gripped this same stone during their most vulnerable moments. "You need to understand not just what these things are, but why they matter," Shirley continued. "The practice of traditional birth is about remembering that we are part of something larger than ourselves. The baby comes from the earth and will return to it someday. We honor that cycle." Sarah nodded, feeling tears prick at her eyes. This was what she had been searching for, a way to bridge the gap between her education and her heritage, to give her child roots in both worlds. Outside, the sun had fully risen, painting the desert in gold and amber. A raven called out, its cry echoing across the canyon. Shirley smiled at the sound. The raven knows. The spirits are watching, granddaughter. They know a new life is coming. As Sarah stood there, stone in hand, surrounded by the tools and wisdom of her ancestors, she felt something shift inside her. A settling, a recognition. She was exactly where she needed to be. Check if you are already subscribed to this channel, because these are the real stories that connect us to wisdom we've forgotten, and you won't want to miss what happens next in Sarah's journey. 3 days later, Sarah sat in a circle of 7 women in Shirley's hogan. Her grandmother had called together the council, elder women from the community who had served as midwives, healers, and birth attendants for decades. To Sarah's right sat Agnes Tsosi, a woman in her late 60s who had delivered over 200 babies. Next to Agnes was Rita Benelli, 52, who had studied with traditional midwives and attended a certified nurse midwife program in Albuquerque, making her a bridge between old and new ways. The other women introduced themselves: Mary Lou Yazzie, Bessie Nez, Dorothy Key, and June Begay. Each woman carried her own story of birth, loss, and the profound mystery of bringing life into the world. Shirley opened with a prayer in Navajo. When she finished, she began in English. "We are here because my granddaughter has chosen to walk the path of our mothers. She wishes to bring this baby into the world in the traditional way, supported by our knowledge. But she is also educated. She knows the hospital is close, she knows the risks. So today we talk honestly." Agnes spoke first, her voice soft but clear. "When I was young, my grandmother took me to my first birth. She put my hand on the woman's belly and said, 'Feel that? That's power. That's creation.' And I felt it, the baby moving down, the woman's body doing exactly what it was designed to do." Agnes paused. "But it wasn't always smooth. I've seen births that went wrong, babies who came too early, mothers who bled too much. That's why we always knew our limits. That's why we didn't hesitate to seek help when we needed it." Rita picked up the thread. "In nursing school, they taught us about hemorrhage, infection, all the things that can go wrong in minutes. But they didn't teach us about the spiritual dimension of birth, about allowing labor to unfold at its own pace, about the power of traditional positions and sacred medicines." "Both knowledges are important," Bessie interjected. "I lost a baby once. Labor started normal, but then it stopped. For 2 days, nothing. Finally, we went to the hospital. They did a C-section. The cord was wrapped around the baby's neck 3 times. He only lived because we knew when to ask for help. That's not weakness, that's wisdom." For the next 3 hours, the women taught Sarah everything they knew. Agnes demonstrated massage techniques. Rita explained the stages of labor. Mary Lou showed birthing positions. Dorothy brought out the sacred medicines, explaining each plant's purpose. June talked about the emotional journey. "Labor will take you to places in your mind you've never been. There will be moments when you think you can't do it. That's when you need us most. That's when we remind you of your strength." As the sun began to set, Shirley wrapped up the gathering with another prayer. Sarah felt overwhelmed but deeply supported. These women weren't just teaching her techniques. They were initiating her into a circle of knowledge that stretched back centuries. After the others had left, Sarah helped Shirley clean up. "Thank you, Shimasani. This meant everything to me." Shirley smiled. "You are not alone in this, granddaughter. No woman should ever be alone when she brings life into the world. That is perhaps the most important thing we've forgotten, that birth is a communal event, not a private medical procedure." Sarah woke at 3 in the morning to a deep rhythmic tightening that started in her lower back and wrapped around to her abdomen. Another tightening came, stronger. 7 minutes later, another contraction. She touched Shirley's shoulder. "Shimasani, I think it's starting." Shirley woke instantly. "How far apart?" "About 7 minutes." "Early labor. We have time." Shirley stood. "Let's make tea. Let's walk. Let's see how you progress." Over the next hours, the contractions continued, gradually increasing. By 6 a.m., they were 5 minutes apart. Shirley called Agnes, who arrived quickly with her birth bag. Agnes examined Sarah gently. "Head down, good position. Baby feels about 7 pounds. How are you feeling?" Scared, Sarah admitted, and excited. By noon, Marcus arrived from Flagstaff and immediately moved to Sarah's side. "I'm here. I'm right here." Rita checked Sarah's progress. "About 6 centimeters dilated. Getting close. Everything looks perfect." But an hour later, something changed. The contractions, which had been building steadily, suddenly weakened. Instead of every 3 minutes, they spaced to 5, then 7. Rita frowned, checking the baby's heart rate with a handheld Doppler. The heartbeat was strong at 140 beats per minute, but Rita's frown deepened. "Sarah, let's see if your body is just taking a break." An hour passed. The contractions remained weak. Still 6 centimeters. "No progress in 2 hours, Rita said, looking concerned. "What does that mean?" Marcus asked. "Sometimes labor just needs time. Let's try some techniques first." For the next hour, they worked on Sarah. Massage, position changes, herbal teas. Agnes performed belly mapping with her hands. "He's head down, but he's posterior, sunny side up. His spine is against your spine. That's why labor stalled. He needs to turn." They had Sarah get on her hands and knees for multiple contractions. It was excruciating, but she endured it. An hour later, Rita checked again. 7 centimeters. We're making progress. Keep going, Sarah. But at 7 p.m., 16 hours after her first contraction, Sarah felt a gush of fluid. Rita immediately checked her. "That's amniotic fluid with meconium in it. The baby's had a bowel movement. That can be a sign of distress." She checked the heart rate again. "There's a slight deceleration during contractions. It's not severe, but we need to watch it carefully." Shirley placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Granddaughter, you need to make a choice. We can continue, but we need to be honest about the risks. Or we can go to the hospital." Sarah looked around at the faces of the women who had been supporting her, at Marcus, whose face showed nothing but concern. Tears spilled down her cheeks. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. If you're feeling Sarah's heartbreak right now, type "I'm with you, Sarah" in the comments. Let her know you understand what it means to choose between two worlds. But as another weak contraction gripped her, she knew what she had to do. "Hospital. I need to go to the hospital." Shirley nodded. "That is a wise choice, granddaughter. There is no shame in seeking help." The drive to Tuba City Hospital was 40 minutes of pain and fear. When they arrived, a team was waiting. They took Sarah directly to labor and delivery, hooked up monitors. Dr. Jennings examined her. 7.5 centimeters, baby's still posterior, heart rate showing some decelerations, but nothing critical yet. "Let's give you some time." Over the next 2 hours, they tried everything: Pitocin, position changes, and epidural. Shirley stayed by her side, praying. At 9:45 p.m., Dr. Jennings checked again. Still 7.5 centimeters. "The baby's heart rate is showing more significant decelerations. I'm recommending a C-section." Sarah looked at Marcus, at her grandmother. "Okay, do it." At 10:32 p.m., a sharp cry filled the operating room. Her son. "It's a boy," Dr. Jennings announced. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Sarah started sobbing as they placed him in her arms, still crying. His dark eyes squinted against the lights. "Hi, baby," Sarah whispered. "I'm your mama, and I love you so much." Shirley stood beside the bed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Welcome, little one. You are loved, you are wanted, you are a blessing." The hospital room was quiet, except for soft snuffling sounds as Nathan nursed. It was 3 a.m., 24 hours since the surgery. Sarah hadn't really slept, but every time she opened her eyes, there he was, perfect, healthy. They had named him Nathan Shirley Big A. Williams, honoring both his Navajo and African-American heritage. Shirley dozed in the reclining chair. Marcus had gone home to shower. It was just Sarah, her grandmother, and the baby. As Nathan finished nursing, Shirley stirred and came over. "He has your grandfather's nose." "Shimasani," Sarah said quietly. "I'm sorry I couldn't do it the traditional way." Shirley's head snapped up. "Disappointed? Child, you brought a healthy baby into this world. You made a wise choice when it mattered most. There is no disappointment, only pride. But all that preparation was not wasted. Every bit of that knowledge lives in you now. Just because you didn't use every technique doesn't mean the knowledge is lost. You'll carry it forward. Shirley touched Nathan's head. Our ancestors didn't have C-sections. Many women and babies died. If they had this technology, they would have used it gladly. We honor the old ways not by rejecting the new, but by being wise enough to know when each is appropriate. Over the next days, Sarah found her rhythm with Nathan. Nursing got easier. The pain lessened. She learned his different cries, how to swaddle him, how to soothe him. On the third day, they were discharged. When they pulled up to the Hogan, several cars were already there. Inside, Agnes, Rita, and the other women had prepared food: fry bread, mutton stew, corn. Each woman took a turn, holding Nathan, blessing him, welcoming him to the community. Sarah felt the weight of it. This was her son being woven into the fabric of the tribe. Rita was the last to hold him. I'm glad you trusted us, and I'm glad you trusted yourself enough to know when hospital care was needed. That's the balance we all strive for. As the women shared food and stories, Sarah settled into a chair with Nathan, feeling more at peace than she had since before labor started. This was the community she had wanted for her son. Marcus sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders. What are you thinking? Sarah looked down at Nathan, then around at the women. I'm thinking that maybe the traditional way isn't about where you give birth or what techniques you use. Maybe it's about being surrounded by people who love you, who support you. Maybe it's about community and wisdom and flexibility. Shirley raised her cup of tea. To Nathan, born between two worlds, blessed by both. May he always know where he comes from, and may he always have the wisdom to choose the path that serves life. The first week at home was a revelation in exhaustion. Nathan needed to eat every 2 hours, would only sleep while being held, cried with an intensity that made Sarah's heart race. Her incision ached constantly. She found herself crying at odd moments. It's the hormone crash, Rita explained on day 5. Your body was flooded with pregnancy hormones. Now they're draining away. Add sleep deprivation and physical recovery, and it's no wonder you feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm drowning, Sarah admitted. I feel like a failure every time he cries, and I don't know why. He's crying because that's how babies communicate. You're not failing. You're learning his language. Shirley had moved into the bedroom, taking the night shift from midnight to 5 a.m., allowing Sarah precious hours of sleep. During the day, Shirley taught Sarah traditional practices. She showed her how to make a cradleboard, the traditional Navajo baby carrier. Your mother was carried in a cradleboard, and you were too. It keeps the baby's back straight and strong. When the cradleboard was finished, they tried it with Nathan. He fussed at first, but as Sarah walked with him strapped to her back, his cries quieted. Agnes brought nursing tea and showed her massage techniques. Mary Lou taught her traditional lullabies in Navajo. Sarah sang softly. The words felt clumsy, but Nathan seemed to respond to the rhythm. Marcus threw himself into fatherhood enthusiastically, but Sarah found herself snapping at him more than she wanted. I don't feel like his mother yet, Sarah admitted one afternoon. I feel like I'm just going through the motions. Everyone talks about this overwhelming love you're supposed to feel immediately. But I just feel scared and confused. Shirley spoke up. When you were born, your mother felt exactly the same way. She cried for weeks. She questioned whether she was a good mother. Really? Really? Motherhood is learned, practiced, earned. The bond you're worried about, it's already forming. You respond when he cries. You feed him, you hold him. That's love. Love is not just a feeling. It's a choice you make every day. That night, nursing Nathan at 2 a.m., Sarah looked down at his face and felt a wave of tenderness so intense it took her breath away. I love you, she whispered. I don't know what I'm doing, but I love you so much. Over the following days, small routines established themselves. Nathan's cries started to make sense. She learned what positions he liked, that he calmed best when she walked outside. 3 weeks after Nathan's birth, they held the traditional baby blessing ceremony. Shirley led prayers in Navajo, blessing Nathan's head, hands, feet. She placed corn pollen on his tongue and forehead. After the prayers, they buried Nathan's umbilical cord stump in the earth near the Hogan. Sarah felt the weight of it. Her son was now literally connected to this land. As the sun set over Monument Valley, Sarah stood holding Nathan, Marcus's arms around both of them. "We did it," Sarah whispered. "We did it," Marcus agreed. And Shirley offered one more prayer: gratitude for life, for health, for babies born between two worlds who would carry both forward into the future. 6 weeks had passed, and Sarah sat in Dr. Jennings' office for her postpartum checkup. Physically, she had recovered beautifully. "How are you feeling emotionally?" Dr. Jennings asked. "Better. Those first weeks were really hard. But I'm finding my rhythm now. Nathan sleeps longer at night. I'm starting to feel like myself again. And the disappointment about the C-section. I've made peace with it. I wanted the traditional birth to prove something, that I was strong enough, connected enough, Navajo enough. But my grandmother helped me understand that strength is about making wise choices, being flexible." Back at the Hogan, Sarah found Shirley teaching Marcus to cook traditional Navajo dishes. He stood at the stove, carefully stirring mutton stew. "Your grandmother is a slave driver," Marcus said with a grin. Shirley swatted his arm playfully. "If you're going to raise a Navajo child, you need to know how to cook Navajo food." That evening, Sarah sat outside with Nathan, watching stars emerge. The Milky Way stretched across the darkness. "Your great-great-grandmothers looked at these same stars," she told Nathan softly. "They told stories about them, used them to navigate, and now you're looking at them too." Shirley came out and sat beside them. "He has an old soul. You can see it in his eyes. I hope I can be the mother he deserves. You already are. You're learning, growing, becoming. And he will learn from you how to navigate between cultures, how to honor the past while embracing the future, how to be flexible and strong. Those are valuable lessons." Marcus joined them. "I've been thinking about my job. The school in Tuba City has an opening for a science teacher. It would mean living on the reservation full-time." Sarah turned to him, surprise and hope blooming. "Really? You'd want that?" "I would. I've fallen in love with this place. I want Nathan to grow up here, to know his heritage, to have this community support." Shirley laughed. "Then it's settled. I'll teach you both everything I know. Nathan will grow up with one foot in each world, taking the best of both." Over the following weeks, life took on a sustainable rhythm. Nathan grew stronger, more alert. He started to smile, real smiles, and those smiles lit up Sarah's world. Marcus was offered the teaching position. They began making plans to build a home on the reservation, traditional in design, but with modern conveniences. Rita stopped by one afternoon. "You look happy." "I am. This isn't the path I planned, but it's turning out to be exactly what I needed. That's how life works. We make our plans and then life shows us a different way." As summer approached, Nathan grew into a chubby, happy baby. His first laugh came when Marcus made silly faces at him. On Nathan's 6-month birthday, they held another ceremony. Shirley explained that 6 months marked the transition from dependent newborn to a baby developing personality. "Thank you," Sarah said to the women gathered. "Thank you for showing me that tradition isn't about following rigid rules. It's about carrying forward wisdom while adapting to each generation's needs." "You've taught us as much as we've taught you," Agnes said. "You've shown us that old ways and new ways can complement each other." That night, lying in bed with Nathan between her and Marcus, Sarah thought about everything since that first contraction. The fear, the pain, the disappointment, the joy, the learning. She thought about her mother, wondering what she would think, but Sarah felt a deep certainty that her mother was somehow present in all of this. "Thank you, Mama," she whispered, "for giving me life, for leading me back to this place." As dawn broke over Monument Valley, Sarah stood at the window with Nathan one last time before they moved to their new house. "We're ready," she told Nathan softly, "ready to raise you with roots in both worlds. You'll grow up knowing your Navajo heritage and your African-American heritage, knowing you don't have to choose between them. You can be all of it." Shirley came to stand beside them. "You've become not just a mother, but a bridge, carrying forward the wisdom of those who came before, while embracing the gifts of the present. That is the greatest gift you can give your son." "I couldn't have done this without you, Shimasani. We saved each other. You gave me purpose, gave me a reason to share everything I know. You gave me a great grandson to love. That's a gift beyond measure. As they stood together watching the sun rise, Sarah felt profound completion. The journey had been nothing like she planned. It had been harder, messier, more complicated, but also more beautiful, more meaningful, more transformative. Nathan would grow up knowing his story, how he was born between two worlds, welcomed by both. He would know that strength comes from flexibility, not rigidity. That tradition and progress aren't enemies, but partners. And someday, when Nathan had children of his own, he would carry forward the lessons learned here. The sacred mystery of birth would continue, generation after generation. If you watched this far, it's because you connected with Sarah's journey of finding strength in flexibility and love in community. Leave a comment saying, "I watched this far," so I can get to know you and know who really connects with these stories of cultural heritage and modern motherhood. And if Sarah's story touched your heart, hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to bridge two worlds, to adapt traditions while honoring them, to find their own path through the sacred mystery of parenthood.